The fluorescent lights overhead buzz. Olivia's hands shake as she grips the edge of her desk at Morrison & Associates, her protruding belly pressing against the cold mahogany surface. 7 months pregnant and completely alone. Her paralegal job, once her ticket out of foster care, now feels like a cage. Around her, colleagues tap keyboards and shuffle documents, completely oblivious to the fact that her entire world is built on a lie. The thing about living someone else's life is that you learn to become invisible. She's perfected it over 4 years. The quiet girl who refills coffee, organizes files, keeps her mouth shut about where she really lives. Nobody here knows about the penthouse in the Gold Coast. Nobody knows about Vincent Moretti. Nobody knows that the man she was with is gone, and she's been paying the price of his absence for 6 months straight. The automatic deposit hits her account every 2 weeks without fail, triple what he used to give her, like blood money paid to keep her quiet. She hasn't touched most of it. The money sits in the bank, untouched and accusatory, a reminder that safety has a cost. Her phone buzzes on her desk. Her heart stops. It always does now. She's trained herself to expect catastrophe. But it's just a calendar reminder. OB appointment in 2 hours. Routine ultrasound. Everything is fine. Everything has always been fine, according to the doctors. Her daughter is healthy. Strong. Growing exactly as she should be. The problem is that Olivia isn't fine. She's terrified in a way she can't explain to anyone. She's carrying a child into a world she doesn't understand, tied to a man who disappeared into darkness and left her holding the weight of his choices. Her supervisor, Patricia, walks past without making eye contact. That's normal. Olivia's learned that invisibility is protection. You stay quiet, you stay safe. You don't ask questions about where the senior partner spends his afternoons. You don't mention that you recognize the names in the case files, names that show up in the news with words like alleged and investigation and federal charges. You especially don't acknowledge that you recognize one of those names as your daughter's father. Vincent Moretti. Dead now. That's what the voice on the phone told her 6 months ago. Dead. Gone. Never coming back. But she doesn't believe it. Not really. Some part of her still waits for him to walk through that penthouse door and explain everything. Some part of her is still naive enough to think that maybe this was all some kind of test, and he's coming back to collect his prize. She logs off her computer and gathers her bag. The ultrasound clinic is 2 blocks away. She's been 5 times already, first because she wanted confirmation, then because she was scared, then because she needed to hear that the baby was still alive, still moving, still fighting. This time feels different. This time she has news. Real news. The kind of news that matters. The kind of news that brings people together or tears them apart. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe, because this story is about to take a turn you won't see coming. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Seriously. Tell me where you're connecting with Olivia's story right now. She stands up from her desk, and the baby kicks hard, a solid punch that makes her breath catch. Not gentle. Not exploratory. Violent. Like the child inside her already knows the world is dangerous. Like she's already preparing for survival. Olivia places her hand on her belly and whispers something she shouldn't say out loud. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to reach out to your father. And I'm going to let him know about you. Because you deserve that chance. You deserve to know where you come from. The words hang in the air of her cubicle. Nobody hears her. Nobody cares. And that's when Olivia realizes something that will change everything. She's not asking permission anymore. She's making a decision. She's going to contact Vincent, whether he responds or not. She's going to send him the ultrasound. She's going to bridge the gap between his world and hers and let him decide what happens next. She has no idea that her decision is about to trigger a cascade of events she cannot stop, cannot control, and cannot escape. The ultrasound room is cold. Olivia lies on the examination table, the thin paper crinkling beneath her as Dr. Henderson applies the gel to her stomach. The sensation is always strange, cold, and intimate at the same time, like being invaded by something that claims to help. Dr. Henderson is thorough. Professional. unaware that this particular ultrasound is about to become a weapon, a bridge, a confession wrapped in medical imaging. Everything looks perfect, Dr. Henderson says, her eyes tracking the monitor. Baby girl is measuring right on schedule. My heart rate is strong. She's active. Healthy as they come. Olivia nods, but she's not really listening. She's watching the screen. The black and white image of her daughter's profile, forehead, nose, lips forming a profile that looks almost complete, almost human, almost like a person rather than a possibility. The beauty of it hits her like vertigo. This is real. This isn't just a pregnancy anymore. This is her daughter. This is life that came from her body, that depends on her decisions, that will inherit everything she survived. Dr. Henderson presses a button. The image captures. Freezes. I'll print some photos for you, she says, disappearing into the back room. Olivia stares at the frozen image on the screen. Her daughter's face. Perfect. Untouched. Unaware of the darkness she's being born into. And something shifts inside Olivia's chest. Not just maternal instinct. Something bigger. Something that feels like permission. Permission to hope. Permission to reach out. Permission to give her daughter something Olivia never had, a father who knows she exists. Vincent wasn't good. Olivia knew that. She'd always known it. But he was there, and he paid attention, and he promised security. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that's all anyone can ask for in this world. She sits up slowly, the gel smearing across her skin. Dr. Henderson returns with 4 copies of the ultrasound, glossy and perfect. Olivia takes them with trembling fingers. The walk back to her apartment takes 12 minutes. She's counted before. 12 minutes to think, to rationalize, to convince herself that this is a good idea. The Chicago wind hits her face as she exits the clinic. Spring hasn't fully arrived yet, and the air still carries winter's bite. She pulls her coat around herself and walks north, past the coffee shops and boutiques that cater to people with money. She doesn't belong here. Not really. Her apartment is in Pilsen, in a different world entirely, cheaper rent, deeper roots, the kind of neighborhood where people still know their neighbors and keep an eye on each other. But the penthouse. The penthouse is in the Gold Coast, 30 floors above the street, suspended above normal life like a threat or a promise, depending on how you look at it. She doesn't go back to work. She calls Patricia and leaves a voicemail about a doctor's appointment taking longer than expected. She'll work from home. Nobody questions her anymore. For years of being invisible comes with certain advantages. She's become the kind of employee people forget about, competent, quiet, reliable, unthreatening. When she reaches her apartment, she locks the door behind her and sits on her worn couch with its threadbare fabric and its memory of cheaper times. She pulls out her phone. The ultrasound photos are still in her hand. She takes a picture of the glossy image with her phone camera. The quality is imperfect but clear enough. You can see the baby's face. You can see the promise of life. You can see the reason why Olivia is about to make the mistake that will change everything. She opens her messages. Scrolls through her contacts. They're saved under contractor like a precaution, like a lie meant to protect someone. Vincent's number. She hasn't called it in 3 months. She's tried multiple times, but it always goes to a voicemail that's full. But texting. Texting might work. Texting is permanent. It leaves a record. It proves she tried. She types, "It's a girl. She's healthy. I thought you'd want to know." Her thumb hovers over the send button. One more second of possibility before she commits to this path. One more moment where she could delete this and pretend she never had this thought. But she doesn't. She hits send. The message seems to disappear into nothing. No delivery confirmation. No response. Just gone, like throwing something into an ocean and hoping someone on the other side catches it. She waits for her phone to buzz. It doesn't. 5 minutes pass. Then 10. Nothing. She tries calling. The line that connects her to Vincent's world doesn't ring. It just disconnects. Smoothly. Efficiently. Like the number never existed at all. She stares at her phone screen, at the ultrasound image still displayed there, at the impossible situation of being pregnant and alone and connected to nothing. That's when her phone does something it hasn't done in months. It rings. Unknown number. Restricted. Her stomach drops before she even answers, because some part of her, the part raised in foster care, the part trained to expect violence, knows that nothing good ever comes from restricted numbers. You sent a sonogram to a disconnected number. The voice that speaks is not Vincent's. It's male, accented Italian blending with something else, something American and cold. Not a question. A statement. A fact delivered like a weapon. Olivia's mouth goes dry. Her hand grips the edge of her couch. I think you have the wrong person, she whispers, and immediately knows it's the wrong thing to say. Silence. The kind of silence that means someone is deciding whether you're worth keeping alive. Olivia Brennan. 27 years old. Paralegal at Morrison & Associates. Penthouse 4402, Millennium Tower. 7 months pregnant. Another pause. Longer. Deeper. Should I continue, or do you understand the position you're in? The words hit like bullets. Each fact is a violation. Someone has looked at her life and catalogued everything. Her name. Her job. Her address. Her pregnancy. She's been measured and found to be exactly what they suspected, exposed. Controllable. Alone. Olivia's breathing becomes shallow. She tries to speak. Nothing comes out. The voice continues, patient now, like someone explaining something to a child. Vincent Moretti is dead. The sentence doesn't make sense. It's English, but the words don't assemble correctly in her brain. Dead. Vincent can't be dead. Dead means gone. Dead means never coming back. Dead means this was all for nothing. He was killed 3 months ago. Atlantic City. Complications from something his business partner did. Something called the Kessler situation. You understand what that means? Olivia understands nothing. Her vision blurs. Her baby kicks hard, violent, like the child inside her is already afraid. No, she says, and her voice sounds like it belongs to someone else. Someone younger. Someone more broken. Your sonogram arrived on a phone that now belongs to my employer, the voice says. Vittorio Moretti. Vincent's older brother. The man who actually built the empire Vincent was supposed to inherit. And Vittorio has made a decision about you. He's decided that you're carrying his blood. That makes you family. That makes you valuable. That means you're not going to disappear, and nothing bad is going to happen to you, because you're going to get on a private jet in 2 hours and you're going to let my employer take care of you. Olivia stands up from the couch. Sits back down. Stands again. The apartment suddenly feels too small. The walls are closing in. I don't want this, she says, and the words come out more like a sob than a statement. I don't know him. I don't know you. I don't want anything to do with this. The voice doesn't soften. It doesn't threaten. It simply continues. A private jet will be waiting for you at Chicago Midway. You have exactly 2 hours from this moment to gather your documents and your personal items. You will not tell anyone where you're going. You will not contact your employer. You will not reach out to friends or family. You will simply appear at the private terminal with your identification and your belly and whatever you need to survive a 30-minute flight. That's all. 2 hours. The number doesn't seem real. 2 hours to decide if she's going to get on a jet with strangers, or 2 hours to decide if she's going to run. And if I refuse, she asks, already knowing the answer. Then Vittorio makes different arrangements, the voice says. And I can assure you, Signora, those arrangements are far less pleasant. But I don't think you're going to refuse. I think you're going to understand that you have no choice. I think you're going to walk to that jet, because the alternative is watching your daughter grow up in witness protection, or in foster care, or in a grave. Those are your options. So I suggest you start moving. The line goes dead. The apartment is silent again. Olivia sits on her couch and stares at her phone. The ultrasound image is still there. Her daughter's face. Perfect. Unaware. And Olivia realizes something with terrible clarity. She was never going to reach Vincent. She reached someone far worse. Someone with more power. Someone who doesn't ask permission. Someone who simply takes what he wants and calls it protection. Her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Jet details have been sent to your email. Mr. Moretti is looking forward to meeting his niece. Olivia pulls up her email with shaking fingers. Everything is there. Flight number. Private terminal address. Seat assignment. A note from someone named Marco. Bring your medical records and your passport. Everything else will be provided. Welcome to the family. She has 2 hours. 120 minutes to go back to her apartment, pack a suitcase, say goodbye to a life she was never really living, and walk into a world she doesn't understand. She places her hand on her belly. The baby kicks again, violent, insistent, like she's already trying to escape. We're doing this, Olivia whispers. Somehow, we're doing this. She stands up. Her legs are steady now. Fear has burned away, replaced by something clearer. Survival instinct. The same thing that got her through 4 years of college on scholarships. The same thing that got her through foster care. The same thing that got her through Vincent. She walks to her bedroom and pulls out a suitcase she hasn't used in 3 years. 1 hour and 45 minutes left. Olivia moves through her apartment like a ghost. Everything in this space belongs to someone else's life. The furniture she bought secondhand. The clothes hung in a closet too small for breathing. The kitchen she never uses because takeout is cheaper than groceries, and she's been using every dollar to prepare for a child whose father is a lie wrapped in an expensive suit. She pulls down her one suitcase, old, faded, covered in stickers from places she's never been, and places it on her bed. What do you pack when you're moving into darkness? What do you bring when you have no idea where you're going? She starts with documents. Her birth certificate. Her social security card. Her passport, which she hasn't looked at since getting it 3 years ago. Her college diploma, framed and meaningless. The ultrasound photos Dr. Henderson printed earlier. These go into a manila folder, which goes into the front pocket of the suitcase. She moves to her closet. Maternity clothes that barely fit anymore. Regular clothes she won't fit into for months. Underwear. Bras that no longer close properly. She grabs it all, throws it into the suitcase without folding. The organization seems ridiculous right now. Survival is the only goal. In the bathroom mirror, she sees herself for the first time all day. Her face is pale. Her eyes are wide. She looks terrified. She looks trapped. She looks exactly like someone who's being kidnapped, which is what this is, she realizes. This is kidnapping dressed up in a suit and called protection. A man has decided she belongs to his family, and she has no choice but to comply. She brushes her teeth, washes her face, looks at her pregnant belly in the mirror and tries to memorize what this moment feels like, the last moment she's going to be free. At the last moment she's going to be just Olivia Brennan, paralegal, living an ordinary life in an ordinary apartment. Tomorrow, she'll be something else. Tomorrow, she'll belong to Vittorio Moretti, whatever that means. She goes back to the bedroom and sits on the edge of her bed. The suitcase is full but light. She adds socks. A sweater. Her phone charger. The baby book her doctor gave her at her first appointment, What to Expect When You're Expecting, still unread. She zips the suitcase and places it by the door. Then she does something she knows is stupid, but she does it anyway. She writes a note. Not an explanation. Just words. I had to go. I'm safe. I'm doing this for her. I'm sorry. She places it on the kitchen counter. Then she deletes the note from her mind and walks out the door. 1 hour and 15 minutes. The Uber driver doesn't ask questions. She tells him she's going to the airport, and he just nods. Music plays softly from his speakers. News from a radio station she doesn't recognize. The driver glances at her belly in the rearview mirror but doesn't comment. She's invisible again. Just another pregnant woman taking an Uber. Just another person trying to survive. The drive takes 30 minutes. She watches Chicago pass outside the window. The neighborhoods are getting richer. The buildings are getting taller. The world is becoming less familiar. When they pull up to the private terminal, she sees it immediately. The security guard. The sleek building that looks nothing like a normal airport. The black car was waiting with its engine running. 45 minutes. The security guard checks her ID. Scans her passport. Asks her no questions. Just nods and waves her through. A woman in a headset appears from nowhere and walks beside her. Welcome, Miss Brennan. We're excited to have you on board. Excited. Like Olivia's arrival is a celebration. Like she didn't just decide 30 minutes ago to get in a car with a stranger. The woman leads her down a corridor that smells like new leather and expensive air freshener. Through a gate. Across a tarmac. And there it is. The jet. Small. White. Gleaming in the late afternoon light. Two pilots stand by the stairs. They don't make eye contact. The woman in the headset smiles like she's congratulating Olivia for making the right choice. Olivia climbs the stairs. She doesn't look back. The interior of the jet is nothing like what Olivia imagined. She expected to be sterile. Clinical. Cold. Instead, it's warm. Caramel leather seats face each other across a glossy table. Floor-to-ceiling windows line the cabin. The space is designed for someone who doesn't fly commercial, someone who refuses to be uncomfortable even at 30,000 feet. A flight attendant appears. Mid-40s. Professional. Warm. I'm Carmen. Can I get you anything? Water. Juice. Something to eat. Olivia's stomach is tight. The thought of food makes her nauseous. Water, she says. Her voice sounds thin. Small. Like she's disappearing. Carmen nods and disappears into what must be a galley. Olivia sits in one of the leather seats and suddenly understands what it means to be rich. It's not about having money. It's about having comfort. About having options. About being treated like your presence matters. Carmen returns with a bottle of Fiji water, the expensive kind Olivia has only seen in the penthouse Vincent kept her in, and a plate of fruit. Strawberries. Blueberries. Honeydew cut into perfect cubes. For the baby, Carmen says gently. Vittorio wants to make sure you're healthy. The name hangs in the air. Vittorio. The man who killed her father. No. Wait. Her father is Vincent. Vincent was the father. Vittorio is something else. Something worse. Something more powerful. Carmen disappears into the cockpit, and Olivia hears the engines beginning to whine. The jet is getting ready for takeoff. She can feel it in her bones. The vibration. The pull of gravity about to release. She presses her face to the window and watches Chicago fall away beneath her. The buildings get smaller. The streets become lines. The people become invisible dots. She thinks about her apartment. Her job. The note she left on the counter. She thinks about what she's done. She thinks about what she's about to do. The jet climbs higher. The sky shifts from blue to purple to black. Olivia closes her eyes and feels her baby kick. The movements are less panicked now. Calmer. Like even the child inside her knows that they're past the point of no return. That resistance is finished. That acceptance is the only path forward. She opens her eyes and looks out at the stars beginning to emerge. Millions of them. Billions of them. And the jet carrying her toward Vittorio Moretti, cutting through them like nothing. Like she's nothing. Like her choices don't matter anymore. Like everything that made her Olivia Brennan, the girl from foster care, the girl who worked her way through college, the girl who tried so hard to be invisible and safe, is gone now. What's left is someone else. Someone new. Someone who belongs to a family she didn't choose, carrying a child into a world that has no mercy for people like her. Carmen appears again with a soft blanket and a pillow. You should rest, she says. It's a long flight. Olivia takes the blanket and wraps it around herself. The leather seat reclines at the push of a button. Technology and comfort designed by people who've never had to worry about money. She rests her head on the pillow and stares out at the darkness rushing past the windows. Somewhere out there is Vittorio Moretti. Somewhere out there is the answer to a question she doesn't know how to ask. The jet banks slightly, adjusting course. Adjusting her trajectory toward a future that started the moment she sent that text. A future she can't take back. A future that's already begun. Hours pass. Or maybe minutes. Time feels different at altitude. Removed from normal life. The cabin is quiet except for the steady hum of the engines. Olivia's eyes drift closed. She dreams of her daughter. Of a face she hasn't seen yet but knows is waiting for her. And in her dream, the face looks like Vincent's but with different eyes. Eyes that are colder. Eyes that belong to Vittorio. Eyes that have already decided what her future will be. When Olivia wakes, the jet is descending. The horizon has changed color. New sky. New land. New world. A voice crackles from the cockpit. We'll be landing in approximately 15 minutes. Welcome to New York. New York. Not where she expected. She expected somewhere isolated. Somewhere hidden away. Instead, she's being delivered to one of the biggest cities in the world, into the heart of civilization, into the place where the most dangerous people hide in plain sight. The jet banks again. Below, the city appears. Millions of lights. Millions of windows. Millions of places have disappeared. And waiting somewhere in that sprawl is Vittorio Moretti, the man who decided she belongs to him. The wheels touch down on a private airstrip upstate. The landing is so smooth Olivia almost doesn't notice they've arrived. Almost. The engines shut off. Silence. The kind of silence that feels like waiting. Feels like judgment. Feels like standing at the edge of a cliff and realizing too late that you can't fly. Carmen opens the cabin door. The night air hits Olivia's face, cool, charged with something she can't name. Threat or possibility. Promise or danger. The stairs are lower. Black vehicles with tinted windows wait on the tarmac. Figures in dark suits stand beside them, perfectly still, perfectly alert. One of them looks up at the jet. Look directly at where Olivia is standing. Looks at her like she's already been claimed. Already been measured. Already been filed away as something that belongs to someone else now. And Olivia realizes with absolute certainty, there's no going back. Whatever she was before, whatever her life was supposed to be, it ended the moment that text left her phone. Everything now is what comes after. Everything now is a consequence. The gates open like a mouth swallowing her whole. Black wrought iron, 12 feet high, embedded with cameras and sensors invisible to anyone who doesn't know where to look. Olivia knows. She can feel them watching. The SUV pulls through, tires crunching on gravel that costs more per square foot than her monthly rent used to be. The estate emerges from the darkness like a monument to untouchable wealth. 3 stories of stone and glass. Manicured gardens that belong in magazines. A fountain in the circular driveway shooting water 40 feet into the air, lit from below like something sacred. The vehicle stops. The doors don't unlock automatically. A figure in a dark suit opens hers manually, a gesture so old-fashioned it feels like violence. Mr. Moretti is waiting, the driver says. His accent is Italian. His eyes are dead. He's the type of man who's seen things that killed something inside him years ago, and now he just functions. Functions and follows orders and doesn't ask questions because questions lead to thinking and thinking leads to conscience and conscience is a luxury in this world. Olivia's legs barely support her as she stands. 7 months pregnant, exhausted from the flight, terrified in a way that's become her baseline since the call. She clutches her suitcase. The driver takes it from her without asking. Just takes it, like her belongings belong to everyone here now. The front doors of the estate open before she reaches them. A woman appears. 60-something. Black. Beautiful in the way that comes from decades of carrying grace through hard things. Her hair is silver. Her hands are warm when she reaches for Olivia's face. "You're freezing, baby," the woman says, and her voice is the first kind thing Olivia has heard in 12 hours. "I'm Rosa. I take care of this house. I take care of Mr. Moretti. Now I'm going to take care of you and your daughter." Olivia wants to cry. She wants to fall into this woman's arms and let someone else carry the weight for a while. But she holds it together because falling apart is a luxury she can't afford right now. The interior of the estate is exactly what the exterior promised. Marble floors that echo with every step. Paintings that are probably originals, probably cost more than the apartment building Olivia used to live in. A staircase that spirals up 4 stories, designed to make people feel small. Rosa guides her through it all without commentary, just leading her deeper into the house, into spaces that smell like wood polish and money and the particular silence that comes from having enough resources to buy quiet. They pass through a hallway lined with photographs. Vittorio at various ages. Vittorio with a woman who shares his eyes. Vittorio with a young girl, maybe 8 years old, sitting on his shoulders, both of them laughing at something the camera couldn't capture. Olivia stops. Stares at the photograph. The girl has his eyes. Dark. Intense. Intelligent. The girl is happy in a way that seems impossible in this world. That's his daughter, Rosa says gently. Gabriella. She's been gone 5 years now. Olivia's stomach drops. 5 years. That's exactly how long Vittorio has been building this estate, Rosa would later explain. That's exactly how long he's been grieving in the only way powerful men know how, by creating monuments to loss. Rosa shows Olivia to the 3rd floor. A suite of rooms. A bedroom with a bed bigger than most apartments. A bathroom with a rainfall shower and heated floors. And then a 3rd room. A nursery. Complete. Everything prepared. The crib is Italian leather and imported wood. The walls are painted a soft sage green. There are books on shelves, children's classics. There are toys. Expensive toys. The kind of toys that are designed to stimulate infant development. And on one wall, a mural. Hand-painted. A garden of flowers with butterflies and birds. Someone commissioned this. Someone sat in this room and imagined a baby that didn't exist yet, and painted this mural for her. Olivia walks to the wall and runs her hand across it. The paint is still slightly textured. Still recent. Still wet with intention. She turns to Rosa. How long? She asks. Her voice is barely a whisper. How long has he known about me? Rosa sits on the edge of the crib. A woman so sturdy and real in the midst of all this artifice. Since the day Vincent died, Rosa says. Vittorio had people looking for anything connected to Vincent. Any leverage. Any leverage he could use against the families going to war over what Vincent left behind. They found you. They found the penthouse. They watched you. When you got pregnant, Vittorio made a decision. He was going to bring you here. He was going to take care of you. He was going to have his second chance. Second chance. The words don't make sense. Second chance at what? Olivia asks. Rosa doesn't answer. She just stands up and pulls fresh linens from a cabinet. Get some rest, she says. Tomorrow you'll meet him properly. Tomorrow everything changes. Olivia lies in the bed that's too big, in the room that's too nice, in the house that feels like a beautiful trap. Her baby kicks. Stronger now. Like she knows something has shifted. Like she understands they're not running anymore. They're here. They're staying. And the man who orchestrated this, the man who watched them, studied them, decided they belonged to him, is waiting somewhere in this house, probably not sleeping either, probably plotting the next move in a game Olivia doesn't understand the rules of. She touches her belly. It's going to be okay, she lies to her daughter. We're going to be okay. The baby kicks again, like she's disagreeing. Like she's trying to warn her mother that nothing about this is okay. That they've just walked into something far more complicated than escape. That survival and safety are not the same thing. That this house, as beautiful as it is, as protected as it seems, is actually a cage. A very expensive cage. A very comfortable cage. But a cage nonetheless. And the man who built it is not a savior. He's a collector. He collects things. People. Leverage. Redemption. And now he's collected her. The sun comes up over the estate like Judgment Day. Olivia hasn't slept. She's lain in the dark, listening to the sounds of a house that's not hers, feeling the weight of surveillance that's become her baseline reality. The baby has been moving all night. Kicking. Restless. Like she's training for escape even before she's born. At 6 a.m., Rosa knocks softly on the door. She's brought coffee for Olivia, decaf, prenatal vitamins, fresh fruit. He's waiting, Rosa says. No explanation of who. Olivia knows exactly who. The man who decided her fate. The man who watched her without her knowing. The man who killed her boyfriend, or ordered his death, or arranged it somehow. The voice on the phone was never clear about the specifics of Vincent's end. All she knows is that Vittorio Moretti had something to do with it, and now she's in his house, and now she's supposed to meet him like they're old friends reuniting after time apart. She showers. Dresses in maternity clothes that still don't feel comfortable. Her hair is a mess. She gives up trying to fix it. If Vittorio wanted perfection, he could have hired a concubine. He wanted her. Specifically. Whatever that means. Rosa leads her downstairs to an office. Leather and dark wood. Books on the walls that look like they've actually been read, not just purchased for appearance. Windows overlooking the grounds. And standing at those windows, silhouetted against the morning light, is Vittorio Moretti. He turns. And Olivia understands why people are afraid of him. It's not just the power that radiates from him like radiation. It's the way he looks at her like he's already memorized her. Like he's already decided who she is and who she'll become. He's in his mid-50s. Sharp features. Graying at the temples. Expensive suit that's tailored so perfectly it seems like it grew on him. His eyes are Vincent's eyes, except colder. Except older. Except carrying the weight of decisions that included murder. Olivia, he says, and her name in his mouth sounds like ownership. Welcome home. She wants to correct him. This isn't home. She doesn't know him. She doesn't belong here. But something in his face stops her. Something raw. Something broken. Something that looks almost like the grief Rosa mentioned. He gestures to a chair. Leather. Expensive. She sits because standing feels impossible now. I know this is complicated, he says, and his English is impeccable, accented but precise. I know you didn't choose this. I know you're terrified. That's normal. Normal. Nothing about this is normal. Vincent was my brother, Vittorio continues. We were not close. He was reckless. Arrogant. He made decisions that endangered everything I've built. But he was still blood. And when he died, I decided something. I decided that his death would not be meaningless. That the child he was carrying into this world would not be left alone like he was. That you would not be left alone. His voice doesn't waver. He's delivered this speech before, probably to himself in the mirror, probably rehearsed it the way powerful men rehearse things they plan to do. What do you want from me? Olivia asks. The question comes out smaller than she intended. Vittorio sits on the edge of his desk. Casual. Unthreatening. It's an act. A performance. Right now, I want you to be healthy. I want your daughter to be healthy. I want you to understand that you are safe here. That nothing bad will happen to you. That my family does not harm its own. His family. Like she's already been absorbed. Like the adoption happened the moment she stepped foot on his property. And after, she asks. After the baby is born? Vittorio smiles. And it's a genuine smile. Not kind. But genuine. After the baby is born, we'll have a different conversation. But right now, we exist in the after Vincent space. We're both grieving. Both trying to understand what his absence means. Both connected by blood and circumstance and a text message you sent to a disconnected number. That's enough for now. He stands. The meeting is over. But before Olivia reaches the door, he speaks again. Rosa tells me you saw the photographs. The ones of Gabriella. Olivia nods. She's not sure what he's asking. I lost her 5 years ago, Vittorio says, and for the first time, she hears the grief. Hears it like a wound that never closed. I lost her, and I thought I would never have the chance to be a father again. I thought that part of my life was finished. But then you sent me that text. And I saw the picture of your daughter. And I understood that the universe sometimes gives you second chances if you're willing to take them. I'm willing to take this one. I hope you are too. He doesn't wait for her response. He just walks past her and disappears into the house. Olivia stands in the doorway of his office and realizes something terrible. This man isn't a kidnapper. He's not a villain holding her captive against her will. He's a grieving father who's decided that redemption looks like her daughter. He's a man with enough power to take what he wants. He's a man who's decided she and her baby are what he wants. And that's actually much more dangerous than any threat could have been. Because she can't escape from love. She can only surrender to it. The days collapse into weeks. Olivia starts keeping a calendar in her mind because actual calendars seem redundant in a place where time moves differently. 2 weeks in, and she's stopped flinching at the security protocols. The guards. The surveillance. The way every room has cameras positioned to see everything. 3 weeks in, and she started taking meals in the main dining room instead of requesting them in her bedroom. 4 weeks in, and she's realized something that terrifies her more than anything since that phone call. She's happy here. The realization hits during an afternoon when she's in the library, sitting in a leather chair that's become her favorite, reading a book about art history she randomly pulled from the shelf. A book with Vittorio's notes in the margins. His handwriting. His thoughts about Renaissance painters and the way beauty can exist in brutal worlds. Rosa brings her tea. A particular blend that's supposed to be good for pregnancy. Honey. Lemon. Something floral. And Olivia realizes she's looking forward to this routine. Looking forward to Rosa appearing. Looking forward to knowing exactly what time meals will be served and what the temperature of the water will be and exactly how safe everything is. Vittorio appears in the library that afternoon. He's started doing this, appearing when she's reading, sitting across from her, opening a book of his own. They don't always talk. Sometimes they just exist in the same space, separated by a small table, each reading their own page. But today he closes his book and leans forward. "What are you reading?" he asks. She shows him the cover. "Art history." He nods. "I studied art history at university," he says. "Before the family business consumed my life. Before I understood that my job was to protect an empire instead of curate a collection." He pauses. "Do you like it?" "The book?" She nods. "The thing about art," he continues, "is that it exists in the spaces between intention and accident. The artist tries to create something specific, but the viewer brings their own meaning to it. Their own history. Their own pain. So the same painting can mean 100 different things to 100 different people." He's not really talking about art. They both know it. He's talking about her. About them. About the way she came here as one thing and is becoming something else now. "What does this situation mean to you?" he asks. "If I'm the painting, and you're the viewer, what meaning are you bringing to it?" Olivia doesn't answer immediately. She thinks about it. Really thinks about it. "It means I'm trapped," she says finally. "But I'm trapped with someone who's taking care of me. Someone who's made sure my daughter is safe before she even takes her first breath. Someone who's grieving and trying to fix it by taking care of me." Vittorio nods slowly. "And how does that make you feel?" he asks. And she realizes he's asking the question genuinely. Not to manipulate. Not to control. He actually wants to know. "It makes me feel like I owe you something," she says. "But I don't know what." He stands up. Walks to the window. Looks out at the grounds. "You don't owe me anything," he says. That's the thing about second chances. They're not transactions. They're gifts. You don't repay a gift. You simply accept it and try to live in a way that honors it. He turns back to face her. "Your daughter will be born into a world of wealth and protection and family. That's my gift to her. The gift is already given. You accepting my care is the only repayment I need." That night, Olivia goes into labor. Not the real thing. Braxton Hicks. But her body doesn't know the difference. The contractions wake her. Sharp. Real. Terrifying. She presses the call button Rosa showed her how to use. 3 minutes later, Vittorio is standing in her bedroom doorway, and his composed mask has completely vanished. He's terrified. Genuinely terrified. "It's too early," he says. 2 weeks too early. She tries to tell him it's just practice contractions, but he's already calling the doctor. Already making arrangements. Already demonstrating that the protection he promised is not theoretical. It's real. It's immediate. It's absolute. By the time the private ambulance arrives, the contractions have stopped. The doctor who examines her assures everyone that the baby is fine. Just practice. Just the body preparing. But Vittorio sits in the chair next to her bed for the rest of the night, watching her sleep, watching the monitor tracking her heartbeat and her daughter's heartbeat, and Olivia realizes something in those quiet hours before dawn. He's decided that she and her daughter are his redemption. He's decided that the mistake of losing Gabriella can be corrected by never losing her daughter. He's decided that love, in his world, looks like control and surveillance and overwhelming care disguised as protection. And the most dangerous part is that she's starting to accept it. By week 7, Vittorio starts bringing her things. Small things. A painting he picked up at an auction. A first edition of a children's book signed by the author. A collection of poems by Rainer Maria Rilke with marginalia from decades past. He places them in her room without explanation. Without asking if she wants them. Just places them like he's building a world inside her room, a world that matches his worldview, a world where beautiful things justify ugly choices. Rosa explains one afternoon that the first thing he brought was the painting. 2 months before Olivia even knew she existed. He'd walked into an auction house, seen the painting, a woman and child in profile, light streaming through a window, and bought it without hesitation. He brought it home and hung it in what would become the nursery. And he waited. He waited for the universe to deliver the real woman. The real child. He waited for Olivia to send that text. He'd been waiting for years, ever since Gabriella died, for a reason to live that didn't involve running an empire built on fear. And now she's here. Now his daughter will arrive soon. Now he has permission to feel something besides grief and responsibility. The threat arrives on a Tuesday disguised as flowers. Orchids. White. Expensive. Delivered to the front gate in a van with no markings. Rosa almost accepts them. But one of the guards, a man named Terence with eyes that miss nothing, notices something wrong about the arrangement. Catches something about the packaging. Confiscate the flowers before they reach the house. Inside the arrangement is a message. Handwritten. Simple. You took what's mine. Now I'm taking what's yours. The signature, Marcus Kessler. Not Adrian. Adrian is the embezzler who created the cascade of events that led to Vincent's death. Marcus is Adrian's brother. Marcus is the part of the equation nobody mentioned. Marcus is the reason why there are suddenly more guards. Why do conversations stop when Olivia enters rooms? Why Vittorio's eyes have changed from almost peaceful back to calculating and cold. Olivia finds out about the threat because she's in the sitting room when Vittorio receives the news. She's pretending to read. Actually listening. She's perfected this skill over weeks of being watched, of understanding that visibility means hearing things you're not supposed to hear. Terence brings the florist's box to Vittorio. Shows him the message. Shows him the florist's receipt with a name, James Wu, and an address. The florist doesn't remember who ordered the flowers. Just that someone called, paid in cash for delivery, specified white orchids, and wanted them at this location by 2 p.m. Vittorio's jaw tightens. How many men do we have at the gates? He asks. 12, Terence says. Plus the security system. Plus the cameras. Vittorio nods slowly. Then he looks up and sees Olivia. Sees that she's heard everything. For a moment, they just stare at each other. Then he stands and walks to her. We're going to move you, he says. It's not a question. It's not a negotiation. We're going to move you to a different location. Somewhere Marcus Kessler can't find you. Somewhere you'll be safe. She wants to ask if he'll be safe too. But she knows the answer. Safety for him means staying here. Staying behind the gates. Staying in the position of power. Staying ready for war. That night, Olivia sits in her room and understands what it means to be leveraged. The flowers weren't a threat to her. They were a threat to Vittorio. A message that Marcus knows about her. Knows about her location. Knows that she matters to Vittorio. Which means she's a target. Which means she's valuable. Which means being safe requires becoming invisible again, except this time the invisibility is enforced by Vittorio's power structure rather than her own choice. She packs a bag. Just in case. She doesn't know where she's going. Just that the life she started to build here, the routine with Rosa, the library afternoons with Vittorio, the preparation for her daughter's arrival is about to combust. The contractions start around midnight. Real ones. Not the practice ones from weeks before. These hurt. These are her body's way of saying that the timing is wrong, that her daughter is not supposed to arrive tonight, that her body has decided to panic regardless of logic. She presses the call button. Within minutes, Vittorio is there. And she realizes that his calm has completely shattered. He looks like a man who's just understood that he cannot control everything. That some things, like when a baby decides to be born, exist outside his power structure. That redemption might not be his to claim after all. Get her to the hospital, Vittorio commands. His voice is different now. Not the cultured businessman. Not the grieving father. The man who survived decades in an industry built on violence and strategy. She's being moved. Loaded into an ambulance. Rushed toward a private hospital that's not on any public records. Terence sits in the front with the driver. Other guards follow in black SUVs. Vittorio sits beside her in the ambulance, holding her hand, and she realizes he's terrified in a way that transcends fear. He's terrified of losing her. He's terrified that his second chance is being ripped away before it even arrives. She wants to tell him that she's going to be okay. But the contractions are getting closer. The pain is real and all-consuming, and she's 7 weeks early and nothing is guaranteed anymore. As the ambulance races toward the hospital, cutting through the night, Marcus Kessler is probably executing his plan to take what he claims is his. Probably coordinating with whoever's left of the organizations who want Vittorio dead. Probably trying to use Olivia's daughter as leverage in a war she never asked to join. And Vittorio is sitting in an ambulance instead of being at the estate, defending what is built. He's chosen her. He's chosen her daughter over his empire. And Olivia understands that this choice is going to cost him everything. The hospital room is private. 7th floor of a building designed for people who need to disappear. Vittorio never leaves. He's there through the induction. There through the progression of labor that accelerates beyond anyone's expectations. There through the moments when pain stops being something you're experiencing and becomes the entire universe. A doctor named Dr. Okafor, brilliant, calm, unshaken by the chaos, guides them through it. Vittorio holds Olivia's hand during contractions. And during the breaks, he talks to her daughter. Places his hand on her belly and speaks in Italian. Lullabies. Promises. Words Olivia doesn't understand but feels in her bones. She's coming, Dr. Okafor says finally. She's early, but she's ready. I can see her. She's healthy. She's strong. One more push, Olivia. One more push and you're done. Olivia pushes. Everything hurts. Everything burns. Everything is ending and beginning simultaneously. And then she hears it. A cry. New. Furious. Alive. Her daughter is born into this world screaming her anger at the injustice of forced entry. Screaming her protest at the timing. Screaming like she already knows this world is complicated and unfair and dangerous. They place the baby on Olivia's chest. Wet. Covered in fluid. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. 10 fingers. 10 toes. A face that's uniquely hers but carries Vittorio's eyes. Eyes that are aware. Eyes that are seeing the world for the first time and deciding what she thinks about it. Olivia cries. She can't stop crying. This is the person she's been carrying. This is the reason she got on the jet. This is the person Vittorio decided was worth everything. The nurse takes her for measurements and cleaning. Olivia watches her go and feels the terror of separation that's supposed to be temporary but feels permanent. Then the nurse returns. Places the baby in Vittorio's arms. And something breaks open in him. Years of controlled grief. Years of shuttered emotion. Years of being the man who can't be soft because softness is weakness. All of it cracks. He cries. Don't try to hide it. Just stands there holding this baby girl and cries like his heart is regenerating. Like the broken part of him that died with Gabriella is being replaced by something new. Something tender. Something that transforms a man built on power into a man vulnerable to love. Olivia drifts in and out of sleep. The painkillers have made her drowsy. Time becomes fluid. Sometimes Vittorio is holding the baby. Sometimes Rosa is there. Sometimes Dr. Okafor is checking on her vitals. Sometimes the guards are stationed outside the door, managing the threat that's still out there. Marcus Kessler hasn't made a move yet. But he will. They all know he will. But not tonight. Tonight is sacred. Tonight is about the life that's arrived. Tonight is about Olivia holding her daughter and Vittorio watching them like they're the most precious things he's ever owned, which they probably are. Around 3 a.m., Olivia wakes to find Vittorio sitting in the chair beside the bed. The baby is asleep in his arms. He's not moving. Not breathing audibly. Just holding her. Watching her. Processing whatever is happening inside a man who thought his capacity for hope had died years ago. "What's her name?" Vittorio asks quietly. Olivia hasn't decided. She's been waiting for something to feel right. Something to click into place. Now, looking at this man who orchestrated her entire arrival in his world, who decided she was family before she even knew he existed, who chose her over his empire, she understands what the name needs to be. "Lucia," she says. "Lucia Vittoria Brennan Moretti. Lucia for the light she's brought into a dark world." Vittoria as the masculine version of his name, acknowledging his presence in her life, his protection, his redemption. And Brennan Moretti because she belongs to both worlds now. She belongs to the woman who survived foster care and poverty and violence. And she belongs to the man who built an empire and was willing to risk it for love. Vittorio nods slowly. Then he stands and brings Lucia to her mother. Places her in Olivia's arms with such care, such tenderness, that Olivia understands something crucial. He's not going to take her daughter from her. He's not going to replace Gabriella with Lucia. He's going to share the space between grief and joy. He's going to love them both. He's going to build a life that includes the daughter he lost and the daughter he's just gained. He's going to make room for redemption. Hours later, as hospital staff move around them and guards patrol outside, Olivia lies in the bed holding Lucia, and Vittorio sits beside them reading poetry by Rilke, the same collection he placed in her room weeks ago. He reads out loud, translating the Italian phrases as he goes. "Do not assume that she who supports you has not herself wandered in darkness as though lost." Olivia listens to his voice and understands that he's not reading to entertain her. He's reading to explain himself. To tell her that her journey from foster care to penthouse to private hospital to this moment is not unique in its pain, but it's unique in its outcome. Unique because she chose to keep going. Unique because she chose to get on that jet. Unique because she chose to let a powerful man who'd been broken become whole again through loving her daughter. Outside the hospital, the city continues. Marcus Kessler is planning. The guards are watching. The empire is running. The war that started with Vincent's death is still burning somewhere in the shadows. But inside this room, there's peace. There's Lucia. There's Olivia and Vittorio and the impossible family they've formed through circumstance and text messages and a second chance. There's the beginning of something neither of them expected but both of them desperately needed. As the sun comes up over the city, Lucia opens her eyes. Really opens them. Seeing. Focusing. Looking directly at her mother and then at Vittorio. And Olivia swears she can see the recognition. Sees her daughter understanding on some level that these two broken people, one who survived poverty, one who survived power, are going to spend the rest of their lives making sure she never survives alone. Lucia is born into protection and wealth and a love so fierce and complicated that it will define every moment of her life. She's born into a world where danger is real but so is care. Where darkness exists but so does redemption. Where a text message sent to the wrong number can change everything. And as Vittorio takes a photo of Lucia and Olivia together, the first official photograph of this new family, he's already composing the message that will go out to the organizations who still consider him a target. The message is simple. She's here. She's mine. If you want her, you'll have to go through me. And we all know how that ends. By the time anyone who might have challenged him sees that message, it will be too late. Vittorio Moretti will have transformed himself from a grieving man running an empire built on fear into a man running an empire to protect his family. That transformation is already complete. That transformation started the moment Olivia's text arrived on his phone. That transformation will define everything that comes next. And Lucia, sleeping in the bassinet beside her mother's hospital bed, has no idea that her arrival just rewrote the entire power structure of an underground world. No idea that a woman and a text message and pure chance just changed the trajectory of an empire. No idea that she's already loved so completely by two people who have nothing else left to lose that love becomes the most dangerous force in the room. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story that will inspire you, challenge you, and remind you that sometimes second chances arrive when you least expect them. And if this story resonated with you, if you understand what it means to be trapped and then freed, to be alone and then chosen, to be ordinary and then suddenly essential, drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell Olivia and Vittorio and Lucia that their story matters. Tell them that you see them. Tell them that sometimes the most powerful acts are the ones we take when we're terrified but do them anyway. Because in this story, a text message changed everything. A pregnancy changed everything. A moment of hope in the midst of darkness changed everything. And maybe in your life, something simple is about to change everything too. The question is, are you ready? If you're watching right now, you're part of an incredible community. If this story moved you, if you found yourself rooting for her, then I want to hear from you. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss another story like this one. Turn on those notifications because next week, we're bringing you another tale of betrayal, survival, and unexpected power.